Hey everyone, it's Lisa Stens from Lisa's Creative Corner. Welcome to day 31. I can't believe it, it's the very last day of our 31 Days of Christmas Cards series. Today I'm going to show you how to use a few different thin cuts metal dies to make these Christmas cards. We're going to start off by using the layered floral background thin cuts dies. There's 3 dies in this set, and as you can see, they layer on top of each other. I'm going to be using Bluebell cardstock, and Bluebell is close to my heart's color of the year. Isn't it beautiful? I just love this color. And because close to my heart's cardstock is a lighter shade on one side and a darker shade on the other, I just flipped the cardstock over for that center layer so that it has the lighter shade showing through. After running it through my die cut machine and layering the pieces together, I'm just using a little bit of washi tape to hold it in place. I'm just going to use this outer portion of the Custom Ornament Thin Cuts dies set to die cut the center of this layered piece here. I used my Gemini Junior to die cut it out because it's a little bit stronger than my Cuttlebug, and it did cut through all 3 layers. It worked out nicely. Then I used the same Thin Cuts die and die cut a piece of Bluebell glitter paper, and I used that piece for the very back layer. And now I'm just going to adhere all those layers together. You can really use any type of adhesive for this, but I prefer to use a liquid adhesive. There's so many little nooks and crannies and openings on these die cuts that I find that the liquid adhesive seems to work the best. And now I'm going to add that back layer, and because it's a glitter paper, I like to use foam tape or foam dots when I adhere something on top. It just seems to be the best adhesive to hold on that glitter. And it adds a little bit of dimension, which is kind of nice. Now that all the layers are adhered together, we're going to go ahead and cut out the ornament top, this tiny little piece here, from a piece of silver foil cardstock, and then we'll go ahead and adhere it right to the top of the ornament. And now that the ornament is finished, we'll go ahead and set that aside and start working on the background of the card. So we're going to use the brand new stitched lattice background die to cut a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of white daisy cardstock. And before we adhere that to the card front, we're going to adhere a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch Bluebell glitter paper to the card front. Then we're going to use some more of those foam dots on the back of the stitched lattice piece that we die cut, and we're going to adhere it directly on top of the card base, right on top of that Bluebell glitter paper. Now that our card base is finished, we can go ahead and start laying out the pieces and figuring out where we want to put everything. I think I'm going to offset that ornament, have it off to the side instead of in the center. And I wanted it to hang from something, so I die cut this little branch, which came from the Season of Joy Cricut Collection. And I think I'm going to use some of this silver embellishing thread to hang it from that branch. So I just cut a piece and I'm just pulling it to get any kinks out of it. And then I'm going to slip it through the top of that ornament so I can attach it. And then I'm just going to fiddle with it a little bit to try to figure out which branch I want to attach it to and how I'm going to do it. And I decided to just tie a little knot around that center branch so it looks like it's hanging from it. And then I'm just going to clip off any extra pieces that are hanging over and attach this bow that I made using some of the extra embellishing thread. And I'm going to use a micro glue dot to attach it. These micro glue dots are really, really tiny and you won't even see it, and it should hold it in place pretty well. And then once that bow is attached, I'm just going to fluff up those loops just a little bit. For the sentiment on my card, I pulled out the same stamp set that I used on day 17, which is called Christmas Words Tree stamp set. And I just stamped it on a little piece of white daisy cardstock and cut it into a little dovetail shape and attached it with some foam tape. Well, I really like the monochromatic look of this ornament. I felt like it needed another just little pop of color. So I added these little holly leaves and berries, which came from the Comfort and Joy Cricut collection, and I think it just finished off the card perfectly. While I still had all my supplies out, I decided to recreate a card that I had made a couple of years ago. And this one I just used the custom ornament thin cuts die for the entire ornament and cut it from some candy apple cardstock, and I used the retired Snowflake Embossing Folder for the background. Here are a couple of close-ups of the finished cards. They were a lot of fun to make. I really hope that you enjoyed this series. We had a lot of fun creating all of these projects for you. Each of the design team members has a playlist created on their channels so that you can watch these videos again and again. And don't forget to subscribe to each of our channels. We have so many more fun projects in store for you, and we can't wait to share them with you. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.